What's going on, guys? Matt here. So today we are looking at the Beavercraft Dusk BSH4. So we're just going to call it the Dusk. This is the first Beavercraft knife I am reviewing. And just to be candid with you guys, I was sent this by Beavercraft, and I do have a coupon code that I will throw in the video description. So if you like what you hear in this video, you think it's a knife you'd be interested in, go ahead and check that out. But we will assume that it's probably best quality control that we're going to see from a knife like this. So really interesting blade, and we're going to get into it. First, let's talk specs real quick. We'll do a couple size comparisons, and then we'll talk what I like, what I don't like, and close out the video. So we're looking at a 4.92 inch blade and a 4.92 inch handle. I think that's kind of funny. So nearly exact handle to blade ratio, probably because of this little pommel lanyard hole type deal. 1066 steel on this, hardened to 58 to 60, they say. That seems pretty hard for 1066. 3.5 inches on, or 3.5 millimeters rather, on the blade stock. And this handle is made of European walnut, comes with a cowhide leather sheath. This specific model came with a ferro rod. And to pick one of these up, you're usually looking at about 35 bucks. Between 30 and 40 is what I have seen. So definitely not an expensive blade. Let's look at a couple of size comparisons real quick. So we'll compare it to cold steel leather neck. So if you own a K-bar or kind of one of the K-bar style models, this is what it looks like in comparison. Good bit smaller. This is more of a belt knife. That's kind of how I would classify it anyway. All right, let's look at a comparison to a BPS knife. BPS is also a Ukrainian company, so you can kind of see the similar design elements. Not sure if they have any affiliations. Maybe they're made in the same factory or something like that. But again, 5-inch blade, wooden handle, simple 1066 steel blade. And we'll do one more size comparison. It's one of the best knives ever made, in my opinion. Another Cold Steel Master Tonto. There you go. All right, guys, let's talk about what I like. So I really like the kind of old world, kind of old school design of this. And I'll explain what I'm saying. So this kind of feels to me like how knives used to be made, right? It's a simple mid-carbon, high-carbon steel, 1066. Has two European walnuts, so two slab wooden handles, and they're bolted on to a piece of steel. And that's it. There's no frills. There's no fancy, craton material. There's no high-tech polymers, G10 or micarta. It's just a couple pieces of wood on a piece of metal that's sharpened. And I just think that's kind of fun, right? Yeah, I love all the amazing, steels, the incredible super steels we have, 3V, S35, S90, these amazing steels we have, but there's just something cool about a really simple, really nicely designed blade. And I think that's what this is. It's even using, pardon me if I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this is a bluing. And I say that because I use this a decent amount, but it's already starting to wear. And if it was like a DLC, I don't think it would be wearing this much. I could be incorrect, but I believe this is a bluing. And that's, bluing's been around for forever. People have been bluing blades and guns to keep rust off for a long time. So I just feel like it has this kind of old school, old world craftsmanship to it, style to it, that I think is really, really cool. So another thing I really like is the price, guys. Yeah, it's just 1066. It's a working steel is what I'd call it. And so it's not incredible, but it really honestly doesn't perform much differently than the 1095 I've used. You take it for a weekend camping or backpacking trip, it's going to work fine, it's going to work fine. But for 35, let's say even 40 bucks, you're getting a very well made sheath, nice stitching, probably 0.2 or 2 millimeters on that was what I would guess. A lot of them come with the ferro rods and a blade that's it's pretty stout, even at 3.5 millimeters, not super thick, but it's full tang. So you're not worrying about this thing breaking. And you take it for a backpacking trip, it's going to last. That edge, that blade steel, it's going to last the weekend. May have to touch it up when you get home. Heck, you could touch it up on a river stone. So, it's I don't think it's out of line for the price to materials. So another thing I really enjoy is I like these handle scales, and I like them because they're real wood. Like I can feel the grains. You can kind of even see the imperfections. Would I have liked them to be a little bit more well polished? Yeah, I guess so. But again, we're talking about a $35, $40 blade, and it kind of adds to the feel, that old world feel, right? Those are clearly from different parts of the tree. You know, you can see the grain pattern, and along with just enjoying the scales for the looks, it's also a really comfortable handle. There is something I will say I don't love about the handle. We'll talk about that in a minute, but handle's really comfortable, fits my hand just fine, and I do have super, super wide hands, so XL width and large for the length. So if you have big hands, this probably will fit you pretty well. We talked about the bluing coating, but that is something that I just really do enjoy about the blade. And then let's talk about the sheath real quick. So I do really like this sheath. It's a simple pouch sheath, but it has this latch right here, which is, again, another kind of old school style design. I have a bayonet that's behind me. I don't want to go grab that kind of latches in the same way. So I do think that's really interesting. A lot of pouch sheaths are a little bit different. So they work like this BPS one, where it's kind of wet form to it, or it's just like friction fit, right? And it does hold it a lot of times. But this is a nice design. There is one thing I don't love about the sheath. And so let's go ahead and move to what I don't like. So the only thing I don't like about the sheath, other than that, I think it's really quite excellent. It's a very attractive sheath too, is, you guessed it, this design right here. If you just pull this blade out, it's going to rub on there. You can see that happening right there. It's not the end of the world, right? Because if you pull it out enough, it's really hardly going to touch it. Will that cut straight through that over time? I don't know. There's a possibility, I guess. So what would I have preferred with this? I think, honestly, this might even fit. Yeah. Will this fit? Yeah, there you go. I think I would have preferred something like this, you know, just a standard pouch sheath, because look, I mean, that's not going anywhere. You can even wet form these and get them to really, really kind of lock into those leather sheaths. That's why I love leather. It's so malleable, and then you can weather treat it and make it water resistant. So I do like this sheath, and it has a nice dangler. Everything on it is excellent. But you know, that design, I think I just would have preferred kind of your standard friction fit pouch sheath. So, and I will, something I do want to mention real quick. If you guys are familiar with this knife, you might be like, isn't there supposed to be like a little wood finger hold on this ferro rod? Yes, there is. I was working in the yard, and I was using this knife as kind of my working blade. That's where it's got most of its use. And yes, it's held up very well. Been really, really nice, comfortable to use. But I got frustrated with something while working on our fence, and I chucked this sheath and onto the concrete because I was annoyed, and I busted that. So that's not the fault of Beavercraft. You guys are awesome. That is my fault completely. So now the last thing, and it's the only other thing I don't like about this, it's this little, I guess I'm going to call it a lanyard hole. I don't really know what else to call it here at the back. It's some form of pommel thing. You could use it as a lanyard hole, definitely. It does have a 90-degree spine, so maybe that is where you're meant to strike that ferro rod, is right there, because this is rounded off right here until it gets to right here. So maybe that's what it's designed for, but it kind of does make the handle, like I'm right on the edge. If your hands are any bigger than mine, yeah, you're kind of screwed. So I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more handle length. Or if you're going to put a lanyard hole, you know, do something like this, where it's just a little tiny bit, and it gives you more kind of handle, so you can grab it a little bit better. Yeah, I'm not sure the design elements on this, like the purpose of it. So let me know in the comments if you guys do know. Yeah, you could use it as a lanyard hole, and it will strike a ferro rod. So it does have utilitarian purpose, but if it were my choice, I would have just rather have had a little bit more handle length on there rather than whatever this guy is supposed to be. So anyway, would I recommend it? Absolutely, guys. I mean, this is a really cool blade. And again, it's one of those knives that reminds me of kind of how knives used to be made. I love the Cold Steel Master Tonto. It is a beautiful blade, craton handle, stainless guard and pommel, just a gorgeous tanto, that San Mai, just a beautiful blade and utilitarian. You can use this for whatever you need a knife for, right? But this kind of just makes me feel like, hey, this is kind of a simple design. This is how knives were made for thousands of years, and I just really appreciate that about it. It's plenty strong, it's plenty tough. Steel isn't the best, but I think it's gonna hold up for what you guys could want it for. So it is an absolute recommend. The Beavercraft Dusk is a super cool blade. Remember to check the video description for that coupon code. I think it's an excellent blade, and yes, I was sent it for free, but trust me, I will tell you if I don't like a blade that's sent for free, and you guys may see that in an upcoming video. So anyway, remember to like and subscribe, guys. Thanks so much for keeping up with the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.